Hey guys, it's John. You are on the JRB Tree Climbing channel, and I'd like to show you a development with the JRB Hitch. And it's really not rocket science, but it's the running variant of the JRB Hitch. What am I talking about? All right, well, we're all familiar with the bowline, right? It's one of the most elementary loop knots there are. And arborists love to use the running bowline for rigging. And it's simply a bowline that is running on the line, and it'll cinch tight. Pretty much any knot we can tie in a running variant. They just don't all have the same properties. Here on the tree, I have fashioned a running JRB hitch. So please be familiar with the earlier videos on the JRB Hitch playlist. The JRB hitch is an exploding or quick release hitch that's strong and secure, and I use it for tether and rappel applications. Here I have it fashioned on the tree, but the JRB hitch is actually tied onto this strand of the rope. It is running. So I can apply my load here, I can climb on this. It's currently locked, meaning if I pulled on this release line, it won't release. But after a rappel or for remote retrieval, I can pull on this line and it dispels. Now, I held onto the line just to make sure you understand that although the JRB hitch is an exploding hitch, it just pops off the tree, the running variant is always going to leave the line around the tree. It's going to leave that line there, and we can leverage that for certain situations. Okay, so let's start by showing you how I tie this. Take the rope and pass it around the tree from left to right, leaving myself a healthy long working end on my right side, and the standing part is on the left. I fold the working end up so it's against the tree, and that's important because it's going to make this easier to release. I fold a bight over the standing part like so, and now I will be forming the inner trigger mechanism of the JRB hitch. It's a highwayman's hitch, and it'll be right on these two strands. It's quite simple. We push a bight down with the working end, go around that bight, but still holding it, and then go down a second time through that same hole we formed, and with that pass it through the original bight. And in this state, you can just give it a little tug here, and it tightens up adequately to snug it to the tree. Now, you know, with a rope I might have a little longer bight, trying to keep in the field of view here, but that is the locked version. So if I pulled on this, it can't be released. But even after significant loading, it's easy to release by simply tugging on this line. Okay, let's watch it one more time. Fold this over so the working end is against the tree. Fold the bight under. Force a bight down. Go around it. Repeat by forcing a bight down and lock the original bight. Draw it tight by simply tugging on it in this fashion. Move it into position on the tree and lock it. Release it. Okay, now let's tie it one more time, but we're going to tie it in the opposite direction from right to left. Everything's the same, just the mirror image. Working end is on my left side. And so everything is the same. Working end is against the host, against the tree. Fold a bight over. Force it down. Go around. Force it down a second time. And through. And the reason I need to be able to tie it from both sides is because you just never know what kind of geometry you're going to hit up in the tree. You might have a branch on the right side that you need to go around, or a branch on the left side that you need to go around. In different positions, we might need to tie it different ways. But in all cases, if you're familiar with the JRB hitch itself, we get this nice symmetry of the working release bite that's going through this loop, You get that nice symmetry and you can inspect for that. And now let's watch that tied in kind of a normal speed for me, passing the rope around the tree from left to right. Simply flip that up and over. Give it a tug to snug it up and lock it like this. And one thing that's very important to recognize about this hitch is that when a load is placed on it, I'm simulating it with my left hand. For example, the load of your body. When you try to release this under load, it jams really nicely. So it's difficult to release under load. But once the load is removed, it's simple to remove. Now, I just want to point out that I would only recommend climbing on the running JRB hitch when it's locked. And I showed you how you can lock it with the end of the rope. Other alternatives, you could always use a carabiner to lock it. It can't be released. But if you're working in the center of the rope and you don't have the end, another option is to simply lengthen this loop, and you can tie a figure 8 or overhand inside of that, which has the same effect. Can't be released when it's got a knot there. So plenty of different ways to lock it, but please, even though it's self-jamming and it's difficult to release it under load, always take the extra precaution of having it locked whenever you can. Okay, and lastly, while we're zoomed out just a tiny bit here, I want to point out that the reason that I've tied it in this fashion with the release bite going in a downward direction is it better affords me the ability to use a pole to set the hitch where I want it. I do it in this fashion. With my pole, I will grab the release bite and the load line, and with the right amount of slack on this tiny tree, I can move that up and down to the desired position, lock it in, and I can use that as both a climbing connection for JRB hitch climbing, but it's also very useful for stick climbers who would like to get a nice distance above them, set their tether or rappel hitch nice and high, and then get a stick underneath it. And of course, that's how we release it. There you have it, a running JRB hitch. Let me know if you've got questions.